All right, thank you all. We're going to go ahead and start our work session here. I appreciate everyone accommodating the move here to council chambers, given we predicted there would be quite a few people who wanted to be here, and in fact, that is true. Want to make sure there was room for everyone. We have a few things to take care of before we get to that. We do not have any board and commission interviews. Did anyone have anything they'd like to review on the regular agenda? Okay, we'll go straight into updates then. And Karen, you want to start?
Yes.
Okay, Jamie?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, we all had a council retreat, which was really great. I also hosted here in the chambers, Cool Cities STL pop-up, and I have a lot of thanks to share with you and with Sean Finnegan. David Bookless popped in and John Wagner did. So thanks for spending some time with us that morning. And last night was the first meeting of the Mayor Youth Advisory Commission. What do we board? What do we call them?
Commission.
Commission.
No, council.
Council. So I'm gonna leave those juicy details up to you. Thank you.
Kevin? Okay, Emerson?
No updates, Mayor.
We had green space last night, and I both went to that. We talked about the Arbor Day that we had recently in Larson Park, and just wanted to recognize from up here the tree stewards who were announced. Carrie Coyne and Joe Olkey were recognized and celebrated for the great work that they've done in the community. And the tree of distinction is a group of beautiful trees at Iola and Sanguinet. So that was a great event, and we had a poetry contest for the first time, which was really great. And the poetry winner read her poem, and it was lovely. And as a continuation of that, Friday, May 15th at 6:45, there was a poetry night at Webster Arts. It's kind of a continuation from Arbor Day, trees and poetry. So those who entered can read their poems there. New people can read, and it does not have to be an original work. The next EcoEd is at Blackburn Park at the main pavilion on May 20th at 7 p.m. The topic is going to be the bird sanctuary, and Vince Huning is giving the talk. He's previously been recognized as a tree steward for the city, and he does a great volunteer effort there at the bird sanctuary. So it'll be a great time to learn about the sanctuary and also volunteering. And then I just wanted to mention too that the Green Space Advisory Commission, along with staff liaisons and Sinine and Public Works, have been working on a project for watershed signage, and they're getting to a point where we're ready to put up some the first wave of signs of those, which makes it sound like a lot. It's not a ton of signs, but so there'll be some signage going into the different watersheds that are around, just to increase awareness of our environment.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Just one quick update that Kilwins and Central Bank are having their ribbon cutting on the 11th at 4 p.m. on Lockwood. So anybody who wants to join.
Which reminds me, if you are not on the Quad Chamber of Commerce email list, I suggest you do that, because that's usually where you can find out about those ribbon cuttings. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney?
I have no updates, Mayor.
Mr. City Manager?
No updates.
All right, I've got a few things to run down. I sent an email to council members about volunteering for the art fair June 7th in the afternoon. We typically serve at a beverage stand. Please let me know if you can do that. I'm sad to say I'm going to be out of town at a family graduation, so hopefully there'll be enough to go forward anyway. I had a meeting last week with Michael Jerlicki, and he represents some of the casinos around town, and the casino industry has been looking for municipalities to pass ordinances to outlaw illegal slot machines that are found often in convenience stores. The Attorney General has outlawed them. This county has outlawed them. Everyone's working on enforcement mechanisms, but there is some legislation in the State House that would allow them and then give cities an option to opt in or out. And what I thought I'd do is just first share with you what he shared with me, and then we can decide whether we want to put that on an upcoming agenda. I mean, I'm not sure the legislature is going to get that done before they finish in another 10 days or so, but we may have to take some action one way or another at some point. We did have the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting, which was great. Great group of students. Thanks to Jordan. There's going to be an article in the Friday, I forgot what we're calling it. What's Up Webster? Thank you. What's Up Webster about our first meeting. And it's a good group, and we'll work this summer a couple times and into the fall to get them on some projects. Council members, retiring council members Bliss and Franklin are going to be honored at the Muni League of St. Louis dinner on May 28th. Katie sent you an email about attending. Please let us know if you can attend sooner rather than later, because it's selling out. So if we need more than our single table that we have, we're going to need to get that soon. So please do RSVP to Katie. I sent you notes from the retreat over the weekend. Please take a look at them and send me any additions or changes by Monday, because I'd like for us to be able to swing into action there. And then finally, the Arts Commission met this morning. They're working on some sculpture repairs, plaques for the sculptures in the Jerry Welch Sculpture Park, as well as a project that would begin using utility boxes as public art through painting by artists, which other communities have done. All right, this is usually when someone remembers something they've forgotten. Anybody remember anything? Okay, we're going to dive into topics then. Council liaison selections. I distributed these at the retreat. I just need to make sure that nobody did any swapping about, and we're good with the liaison selections as made, and that means you start attending your meetings this month. Okay, through that one. Summer meeting schedule. Typically, we have one summer meeting that we cancel, mostly actually for staff, given how much time it takes to prepare for our meetings. Katie and Scott are recommending August 4th. So is there any objection to August 4th? Okay, so then we can go ahead and advertise that meeting is canceled. All right, next up, we have the popular topic of the day, which is the South Elm Shared Use Path. And Sanan, our Director of Public Works, is going to come up and begin a presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Arnold. Our subject is the South Elm Avenue Shared Use Path and Resurfacing Improvements. I'm with the Public Works Department. I'd like to show you the alignment of the project. The project extends from Watson Road on the south city limits to Glendale Road on the north along South Elm Avenue. This is a 3/4 of a mile distance, mill and overlay of asphalt street, plus 10-foot wide concrete path between Glendale Road and Watson Road is our project scope. The current paved right-of-way on South Elm Avenue in this section. This is a looking south road cross section for your review. It's 42-foot wide. There are two driving lanes in each direction, 12-foot wide driving lanes, and two 9-foot wide parking lanes on each side of the street. But we have our street has a 60 feet right of way in this area. So the edges, as you see, as green space along this cross section signifies a 6-inch wide curb, and the rest of it is just unused space, which is currently utilized by our property owners along this street section, and they maintain, keep that up. It still belongs to the public in terms of right of way. As you see, so looking south, our left side is the east. So the east side, we have those utility poles right by the back of the curb, and then 9 feet of right of way that is a green space. And on the west, there is various driveway accesses on both sides. That's the case, and 6 inches of right-of-way again, and 8 feet of green space currently. The preliminary, what's proposed under this project is a 48-foot wide paved right-of-way. So what this consists of is shrunk lane widths of by 1 foot of still the same configuration of street, 2 driving lanes in each direction and 2 parking lanes on both sides of the street. The west curb line will be moved in toward the street with this, without east having no changes, by about 4 feet, and the shared use path of 10 feet width to be placed there. That leaves us outside of the. There's an indication of 4 inches of right of way. It's actually 2 feet of right of way that remains outside of the. If we add up all the numbers, there is 2 feet of right of way that is on the west side of the street that still remains to be mostly graded when this type of an improvement is applied on a street section. The grades certainly get revised, and with that, we need to have that area to tie back into where the property starts on the west side, and so that's where I can indicate here this area. So with this, effectively, the 10-foot wide path is installed within the right-of-way. The right-of-way width outside of it is utilized for any adjustments of grade. However, these adjustments may overflow into the private property to make them smoother. Our rule is, by design, to have a 1-to-4 slope. That is 4 feet horizontal, 1 foot up, not to create too steep of a slope to create erosion and other impacts. Outside of this, also, we have driveways that need to be adjusted to the necessary slopes as an impact of this project. Existing conditions are as shown on the. This is looking north at about the southern limits of the project, and so as you see, there's a double yellow line in the middle of the street, and so that's pretty much delineates the lanes. And then there is also parking lane marking along the side of the streets to delineate parking. There are amenities such as the fence line here that may need to be adjusted to fit still our improvement as well as the private property improvements within the public right-of-way and private property, respectively. The project stems from a deficient infrastructure in the southern section of our city that is mostly Glendale Road and south, that does not have as extensive a sidewalk and pedestrian infrastructure as needed for modern standards. And this type of infrastructure is necessary for our modern communities to provide connections across our region. And South Elm Avenue also signifies a north-south corridor in this area, along with Edgar Road and Grant Road, that you can use to access from Big Bend Boulevard down to the city limits, Glendale Road down to city limits, I-44 from the same area to the city limits. And it is almost it becomes like a trunk connection for a future development of other networks that can be built and connected to this trail. So this indicates a need for this project and to also connect to destinations such as the Memorial Park and Recreation Complex, I-44 corridor, Hickson Middle School, Ruhi Park, South City limits, and eventually, you may be aware of a project that is right now going on along Watson Road that is an improvement of pedestrian infrastructure along that road section as well to connect us eventually to Grants Trail that is about half a mile to the west of that node. What happened with this project was the city applied for a surface transportation block grant for 2.9 million, about $3 million. This project was approved for 67% of total project funding. That is about $2 million federal funding and $1 million of city funding. In November, this was in spring of 2023. It predates me. When I joined, this had already occurred, November 2023 date as well. That is typical. These types of projects start with an execution of a grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission. Our city council approved this grant agreement approval. And right after I joined, we began design on the project with an engineering services contract approved and awarded to an engineering consultant. And this design progressed to an environmental clearance in about June of 2025, that phase. And that phase required actually some additional observations and reporting and analyses. And so that got cleared in just last month. And also just before that, a preliminary plan open house was held in March of this year. The intention with the open house was to share the preliminary plans developed for the project with our residents, especially our citizens altogether, but especially the section where this project impacts the most, that is along South Elm Avenue. We conducted that open house, shared this information with our citizens, gathered a lot of input and reaction to our project, comments such as what can be done to revise our design to make it a better fit for the area, and various other subjects. We have to make progress on the project in terms of submitting this for approval to MoDOT. MoDOT is our Department of Transportation. That is also an overseeing agency for these types of projects here in our region. And those review times can get long, and we don't want to miss any grant deadlines. And so we also have to show reasonable progress on the project for the grantor, that is East-West Gateway Council of Governments in our region, to keep that funding coming to us.
Before you go on, Sinan, just to be clear, the preliminary plans that were submitted to MoDOT are not the final plans.
No.
Changes can still be made to this project.
Correct.
That is so we can keep on track for our grant funding.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
So that brings us to the next steps. Preliminary plans are being reviewed currently, and we have already received a set of comments, and we're addressing those comments with MoDOT. And as a following step to that, we have to submit right-of-way plans. Right-of-way plans indicate which areas of the private property or property that doesn't belong to currently for public use, public right-of-way, need to be used for this project. With that, we need to obtain the necessary authorizations from the property owners and everybody having interest on those property sections so that we can have access during construction. That phase starts with an A date. A date refers to an acquisition date. And so it's called a right-of-way acquisition. but it can mean a lot of things. Right away is when government takes property. This also can mean easements. Easements are areas that don't change hands necessarily in terms of ownership, but somebody other than the owner of that property can claim interest in those areas. And those can be done in two types. There's temporary easements and permanent easements. Permanent easements are used for permanent construction of improvements in areas where we claim interest as the public agency. Temporary easements are areas where we temporarily access during construction, but then restore those areas back to their original shape, and then get out of those areas and never use and never have an interest on those areas again. They are just turned back to their property owner for future maintenance from their and access rights.
So can we also stop again? You use the word restore. So, you know, I've driven up and down this. I regularly go through there, but I've made a point of going up and down different times a day for the last several weeks. There are a lot of things. For example, there's the long white fence. There are different shrubs and bushes and things. When you say restore, if I'm somebody who owns a home there, I'm going to want to know exactly what that means. Does that go back to the original condition? What does it mean in terms of restore?
Mayor Arnold, the area will somewhat change as a result of this project because it's currently a green space where there is no improvements in that area. And so certainly there will need to be an area that will be restored, but restored to a future condition that will be a paved area where the trail will be placed. However, outside of that, the areas those areas will be restored to its condition as close as possible to the original condition. And so some of these may mean in the public right-of-way along this section, we have some private, they can be considered private improvements. And so our residents take pride in the area and they improve and maintain the area, but the area may not necessarily be within their property. So those areas will be restored to their original condition as close as possible. But during these negotiations or discussions with the property owners, we can also commit to moving some of those improvements back to the private property so that they can exist within the property instead of in the public right-of-way under our maintenance.
Okay, so there is a voice for the homeowner about what restore means when you're
Correct.
talking about this. Okay.
And would that be at least,
Microphone.
would that be at least to what exists now? Because if that were my fence, I would want to make sure that when this is over, I'm going to have a fence that
Yes.
looks like that.
Yes, our intention is to make sure that the look of the area will still be generally the same. I mean, like that fence, there is a very substantial fence in the area. It's not just a plastic fence, as I find that out. It's actually more substantial than that. And so the intent would be to build it as such.
With the same material and quality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have, in review of this lane, do you see any area not being put back or restored to its original? I mean, if they have like Karen said, like a fence, and that fence has to be moved, but there is not enough space, I guess, on their property to put the fence back. Would that?
We don't have any permanent easements on the project, and so we are not really going to, the city will not own any of those improvements going forward, but the city can place them on private property for the property owners to the extent that is allowed by those easements. And so some of those may need to be decided throughout project design. But our intention is not necessarily, like if there's a fence line, we won't disrupt that and leave it as a discontinued fence in the area. So those all serve purposes in the area, and we are disrupting the area for our project. And we feel that we can make sure to put those back in maybe not in the same location, but to meet the same purpose that they are serving now.
Would that be something the owners would be able to have a conversation with?
We will have conversations with all the owners because the easements are required for about all the properties on the west side of the street. The future steps from there is what we mentioned, the meetings with the property owners. So that's July of this year. And then that's about scheduled to take about 6 months. And January, right away clearance achieved. That means that all our property owners signed on those easements, and those are notarized and ready to go. We get right away clearance for the project, and the final plan specifications and estimates can be completed, developed, completed, and approved by MoDOT. Final plans and specifications and estimates is an important phase on a project. And so once that is developed, the project cannot change from there because we bid the project based on that. And so that is when we can last revise this project in terms of what the intent and the design of the project will be. And March
Excuse me, sorry. So that is March of next year.
January of 2027 is when the approval occurs. And after that, we need to send this to MoDOT again and obtain authority to advertise for bids.
Okay, thank you.
So that phase schedules the federal funding for the project, and then we can then bid the project. And bid award construction start is slated to be in the summer of next year. This is the project timeline. I think I have this much.
Can we go through a couple of things? I have fielded several phone calls, answered quite a few emails about this project, and I just want to ask you about some of the common questions that come up. And one of them is the funding. And you noted, I'm going to be very general here, we're talking about roughly a $3 million project, of which the city will pay $1 million or so, a little under. Could we take the city's portion of the $1 million? Would that be enough to put a full sidewalk in from Glendale to Watson?
Sidewalk, like a 4-foot wide.
Your standard sidewalk. I mean, I know that when we did this parallel 15 years ago, it was 2 million. So it's sort of a question that I feel like I know the answer to, so I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do you have any idea what it would cost to put an actual, just a sidewalk, not a shared use path?
It's a 3/4 of a mile, about 6 feet wide sidewalk. We pay probably about $20 a square foot on sidewalk. And so, what would that amount?
I think an important note on that is it's not just the sidewalk. This project includes the street being completely redone as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but a follow-up, if we were to do just a sidewalk project, keep the 2 parking lanes, keep the 2 driving lanes, there would still be a discussion of right-of-way, I assume, because of this width of the street.
If we don't move the west curb, then we would need to, at least if we are behind the curb, we need to have at least a 6-foot width for a sidewalk. And if we go back to that section, I think we have barely enough. So it would be a sidewalk right here. And so 6 feet of a sidewalk would probably be about the same. Still, it would still require right of way, yes.
Just not as much.
It may not be as much, right?
about 2 foot less.
Yeah.
But driveways would still be a consideration as far as grade and
Yeah, the grade
the
is.
flow and continuity of site.
ADA is very strict.
Yeah.
And so the same requirements would apply to a sidewalk, about the same pretty much as we look at this. And so that would still be required.
So when you say it's 6 foot wide, are you then taking into consideration the actual width of the sidewalk and then what's required on both sides? Because I rarely see a 6
Yeah,
foot wide.
that's a good
sidewalk.
point. 6 feet is just the sidewalk. And outside of the sidewalk, we need some maintenance area because we would need to form that sidewalk and maintain that area. And but the 6 feet is an ADA requirement when we are right by the curb at the back edge of the curb. ADA requires for us to have at least a 6 feet wide sidewalk.
ADA?
Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what it is. Oh, okay, but okay, I'm just saying that's why we're
Yeah.
saying 6 feet, because I just don't
Correct.
visualize seeing any
Correct.
sidewalks in the city that are 6 feet wide.
Right. And also the slope requirements. And so the area is now can be, as our residents observed it, this wrote to us, a lot of good comments. South end of the project and the north end of the project have steep grades on the edge of the road. So it looks like Elm Avenue was cut into those areas. And so those areas, we cannot grade those areas the same with a sidewalk. That can only exist on a grassy area, but once the sidewalk is placed, it's at 1.5% slope maximum on the sidewalk, and that's it. So whatever that cuts now, we need to meet those grades outside of it, and that's why we need to adjust driveways and all that to maintain grades.
So the ADA requirements are like anything installed after a specific date where that went into effect that they had to be 6 feet?
1990.
1990.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit about the trees and that would be in the right of way and what would be disturbed and what wouldn't and what like a tree preservation plan looks like? Would trees have to come down for this?
Yeah, about 20 trees are impacted of various sizes as the project per the project current design. Outside of that, the trees would be preserved, council member, as that would be required for any other project of our own, somebody else like GRG, some other developer, we would preserve those areas the same.
Okay, and can I ask you about utility, are there utility poles on both sides?
Utility poles on the east side.
Only on the east side?
There are utilities on the west side, but those are buried utilities. There is a sanitary sewer line, and there's a storm sewer line as well.
Okay. And then can you talk a little bit about maintenance of the shared use path? Because sidewalks are maintained by the property owners, but this is a city project that's more than just a sidewalk. So will be maintained by the city?
That is a very good question, and we don't currently in our codes have a definition on what that would be. I think it would be a lot to put a 10-foot shared use path on to all of our residents. So I think that we need to take a look at that section of the code where it normally says that a sidewalk needs to be maintained, cleared of snow, cleared of debris after storms, and potential future capital improvements are the responsibility of the homeowners. That would be an awful lot on a 10-foot versus a 4-foot, 5-foot, 6-foot sidewalk that we may have in other locations. So I think that we need to dig into that deeper. We need to either adjust our code, make a new definition, or define that. What that would be, whether that's the city takes the whole 10-foot, whether we do halfsies, 5-foot and 5-foot, or something like that. I think I do think there's something that needs to be worked on there. We don't have an answer right now.
It's a
That's
shared
correct.
use path, so it is a little bit different.
And we just don't have them anywhere else. All the other 10-foot paths currently are inside of parks. And so they're all city maintained.
Yeah.
There are some other like G or G greenways that skinny down from 10-foot to, a more standard sidewalk size. And those are currently maintained by the residents, but it's a typical sidewalk size. It's not a 10-foot.
Yeah. That's helpful. Yeah, because it would be raised a little bit, right? The shared use path is up from the parking level, so it's not like you could just take the snowplow and get the shared use path, like a bike lane, where you can plow it all at the same time. You would have to have
No, they'll be
a
raised.
Zamboni thing
Yeah.
to do just the shared use. Okay.
10-foot wide paths are, um, they are functional for equipment access. So that can be done on those areas. But yeah, it has to be separate equipment.
Yeah. Is there something that we could do to adjust the plan to not disturb as many trees and to not need to, take as much from yards and improvements that would still meet the requirements of the grant and the needs of the city and the residents?
And I think that's what some of us have talked about, and I guess I'll be the one to name it, and that is keeping the standard, the width that we currently have, and then having a single parking lane on the street rather than two parking lanes.
Yeah, I think that that's a possibility. If you drop the parking lane on the west side of the road, there's excuse me. There's also a potential that, it doesn't have to be a completely straight and linear thing. It could weave a little bit. A lot of greenways and shared use paths do. Now it can't just be a hot wave every 10 feet. It can't be. But if there was a 100-year-old tree that's there that we really want to protect, you could potentially drop the parking lane around that tree, bump it out, come back around it, things of that. So all those things are on the table as we're talking through these plans from the preliminary stage we're at now until we get to that final design stage in January of next year.
So the city takes responsibility for keeping that path clear, that 10-foot path. And as far as snow is concerned, we'll maybe, whatever equipment we have to go down there to remove the snow, where is that snow going to go? It's going to go next to cars that's parked there into their yard. Then they're going to have snow on the driver's side of the car. Then they're going to have snow on the the passenger side of the car. That's going to box them in completely. I know thank you for the snow plows, but I had to get out there and move about 4 to 5 feet of snow out of my driveway.
Depending on the amount of snowfall, yes, that's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put that burden on, like I said, on the resident homeowner, where they got to really dig out their car on both sides to get out.
Sorry, Emerson, are you finished?
I'm done.
Okay. If the path, like you're imagining, would it pop then across the street to the other side? Are you just imagining that it might just curve a little bit around specific?
It can't cross the street.
Okay.
No, it has to stay on.
Okay.
There's too many utility poles on the east side of the road, and it just wouldn't be a safe crossing to cross back and forth. You wouldn't jump back and forth across the street. It would literally just on the street. You might have, a wobble like that if you had parking lane 90% of the time, but you didn't have a parking lane for 10%. That 10%, the path could then shed out into where the parking lane would be, and then come back on the current green space side.
Thanks for illustrating that. Yeah. And then regarding safety, I'm imagining Hickson students, taking this shared use path to school, but maybe they live on the east side of Elm and their parents want them to, cross the street as a safe spot. Is there a consideration for crosswalks? That's a long stretch, and I know we have a signal and a stop sign.
Yes.
But that would be a long walk for some kids to try to get to those to cross safely.
We would need to, the project doesn't have those components. We would need to add them. The project would certainly it would be an improvement that we can add to in the future, such as those, like our SS4A team is looking at lighted, the rectangular flashing beacon and those types of improvements, they can be added to this to connect to this project from the other side.
Great. Thank you, Samantha.
So I think maybe you or Scott or you together did mock up what it might look like if we went down to one parking lane. Do you have that with
There
you?
is a slide for it. I think. So the bottom cross section shows what would that be? The shared use path width is the same. Driving lane the widths are still shrunk, but there is one parking lane that is not there. As you see, the right of way now on the west side of the street is the same width. So effectively, we're not impacting that area almost at all. And that means that a lot of the grades can still be the same. That's mostly our challenge, to be able to tie those grades back to the property. And so a lot of the driveway adjustments won't be needed. And with this, because now the shared use path is next to a driving lane, we also allowed for a 2-foot buffer that is striped, as well as it has bollards installed in that area.
Potentially.
Yeah.
This hasn't been designed yet. This was a mock-up that Sanaa and I did together. So,
So is this with this 2-inch buffer? So in this, I mean, it kind of looks like it, but not as much as in the other. So then are you ending up with the grade of the shared path being equal and the buffer being equal to that of the street? So
No, it's still built up. About 6 inches, and still the same concept, but it's just now there's the buffer area in between the shared use path and the driving lane. That's mostly because now the lane is shrunk, and there can be, as you know, we drive some bigger vehicles. They can have overhanging apparatus. And so that not to encroach onto the shared use path. And so the buffer area will prevent that from happening.
But losing that parking is a significant thing for those people. What I'm imagining the reality of it is people would park on the west side and run across the street. So has that been considered about the increasing, I mean, that's a safety issue, and losing parking is always a bad thing.
If there is parking demand on the west side that now is going to be accommodated on the east side, it's not the safest option. Currently, we have about, I believe, 30 spaces on the west side, as opposed to many more on the east side. So from a total street perspective, it's actually, if you were to take away parking on one side of the street, that would be the west side of the street. Less impactful choice. But yes, there's still quite a few number of parking spaces.
That's still pretty impactful, though.
Well,
I mean, I could just imagine if you live there,
Yeah,
that having to
yeah.
fight for parking space.
I don't want to minimize that,
Yeah,
but I literally a dozen times have been up and down there counting parked cars.
Okay.
And the west side, I've never in that strip seen more than 5 cars. And I've gone in the morning, I've gone on weekdays, I've gone on weekends. I'm not discounting that there will be some people who will have to park across the street. But in terms of the number that are impacted by that versus by taking a significant portion of the right of way, that's a much bigger number.
And I think Webster there's a lot of streets that have only parking on one side of the street. Now, maybe not as busy as Elm.
Right.
But I, want to acknowledge that that's also like a reality for many of our friends and neighbors.
And I appreciate that, but when you're the one that lives there
Sure.
and you've been
Absolutely.
used to using that,
Absolutely.
and then all of a sudden it's gone, and now you're having to jockey with the people that are used to parking where they park on the other side, it's bigger headache for the people that have to deal with it daily.
And I think fundamentally, David Franklin's not on council anymore, but, one of the things he talked about a lot is this is one of the things that he heard about the most is some sort of pedestrian and bicycling on Elm, especially for kids going to school. I am now convinced that there is no way to keep the status quo and get a safe route for kids to walk to school. There is going to be some impact on somebody, and the question is, what's the impact going to be, and how many people are going to be impacted? I don't know how we may keep it exactly the same and change it at the same time and give access to people for school. And I do think one of the questions has been, why do the shared use path and why not do the 6-foot sidewalk? Because that would make a difference. It's my understanding that the federal funding is for shared use. It's not for a standard sidewalk, that we forego the federal funding if we
Correct.
try and go to a traditional sidewalk.
That's accurate.
Which would mean there's no way that we could do resurfacing the street and putting in a 6-foot sidewalk for anywhere close to $1 million only. It would probably be,
Probably couldn't even resurface the street for that amount.
yeah. Can I ask a related
Oh, please,
question?
keep going.
How does
I
this
mean, we're supposed to
impact
talk.
stormwater management? Because I know we were talking about that a lot too. Does this with the surfacing and the grading, and does this have any impact on stormwater management?
So there is more impermeable surface that is created, and our current design is accounting for that. And still the infrastructure on the street is sufficient to mitigate that. If the parking lane is removed on the west side of the street, one of the impacts of that is in drainage, there's a spread that is allowed. When water gets conveyed along the curb line, when there's a hard storm, then that area, you will notice that area gets wider. There's a big stream that is flowing in that area. We cannot allow that onto the driving lane. Now, if it's a parking lane, that's fine. And so for that, we will need to add some drainage structures for the option without a parking lane. But that's just to intercept as quickly as necessary so that that doesn't affect causing hydroplaning and all that for the traveling public.
In the preliminary design, you currently have an additional 6 feet of added pavement. So that is going to increase stormwater runoff anytime you add hard surfaces. So you'll have another 6 foot of pavement times that 3/4 mile. And the no parking on the bottom there, you're at the same amount of hard surfaces as you currently have.
And is there an opportunity to add any landscaping amenities as we're going? I know we talked about restoring, but is there any like beautification or, plantings or thoughts of that as part of this too?
We can. We have the tree fund, which gets paid into by various different homeowners and developers. So there's funding available to add trees and shrubberies. That's what it's for in the right of way. None of the plans currently show any type of planting beds or anything like that, but certainly new trees for any trees that would be removed. We can replant new trees. Nobody's saying that's the same. You lose a 20-inch tree and you put back a 3-inch tree, it's not the same. And it won't be for 60 years. But we have the ability to, yes, put shrubs and trees and things of that nature in there. We're not that deep into the design yet. We need to finalize where we're at on the hard structures before we can start laying out that additional landscaping. But yes, there is capacity for that.
How would this, let's say, the option the most recent rendering is the one we go with? What does that do to the speed limit on that portion of Elm?
The speed limit is the same.
So is that 30?
30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But we kind of know that narrower lanes and amenities such as a line of a buffer lane and a line of bollards along the side of the street create some sense of if the speed is high, then the driver notices that a little bit more
Mhm.
because now there is more stationary items that are next to them in closer proximity and in reference.
Mhm.
And so there's this general understanding that the speeds can reduce with that. And so it's almost like a traffic calming
Mhm.
measure that is utilized in some regions.
Would we ever consider just lowering it to 25 with that close proximity to pedestrians, even with the
That can be.
bollards?
If it works out with the vehicle queues and such based on the traffic volume, that's something that can be considered in the future.
Okay. Right.
But
Thanks.
don't we, I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea, but physically changing would do more than just changing the number. Is
Correct.
that fair?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, any other questions?
He was hopping around. Did you finish your presentation?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just want to say thank you. This is really helpful. I appreciate you coming back and addressing our concerns and questions and giving us an update. And I just really appreciate your time on this.
I do want to make note that the middle right of way green section on the far right hand side currently says 4 inches. I just got that wrong. That should be 2.5 feet. So we will amend that and put this back out. So if anybody's looking at that, both this slide and the other slide, the first slide has that listed at 4 inches, and fat fingers or something. I'm not sure what that is, but we'll get that corrected. So if anybody's looking at it,
So there is a little bit of the 6 inches of it is also
It's curved, yeah.
So 2 feet net
Yeah.
width probably.
So I apologize for that. We'll get that corrected if anybody's looking at this later on.
I know I already have a bunch of speakers cards, so I don't know that you are asking for any decision point at this time, but I think it would be appropriate just to use what we talked about in the retreat and have some time to think about this. And I know public comments will be made today, and then we'll come back to this. Is that
Yes.
part of the plan? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. SS4A Comprehensive Safety Action Plan and Bike and Pedestrian Plan Update. Holy cow.
I think I can talk fast. I can do it. Okay. So in the packet before you, there are 2 items that are time sensitive and intended to work together that are related to Webster Grove Safe Streets, SS4A. The first is the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan that we've all been waiting on. This is what we are calling the draft final plan. And it's not quite final, but it's final enough that we can use it to submit to the federal government for our next grant round. The only changes that you're going to see on the final version will be after the demonstration projects have been implemented and we get feedback from folks. That data will be incorporated into the plan, as well as generally cleaning up. As you know, we find things that don't flow right. We'll try to straighten that out. Like I've already found like some of the bullet points didn't line up. So they're already making those kinds of changes, but substantially it's going to be the same plan. So what we're seeking tonight is your acceptance of this draft final plan. And the second half is the bike and pedestrian plan update. We're seeking authorization to proceed with a targeted contract to identify gaps in the sidewalk network, any ADA issues, and the plan that it's updating was created in 2014, and any cost estimates in that plan are obviously outdated, so we want to bring that up to speed. The purpose of this update, in conjunction with the safety action plan, is that so we can seek grant funding to potentially build more sidewalks across the city. I'm sure you all are familiar with the safety walk audits that we've done over the last several months. That in conjunction with this plan, as well as the survey that we had online that just closed yesterday with about 500 respondents, which we're very happy about. All of that information will be coalesced and help us identify where sidewalks should go were we to get the grant that we're applying for in a very short time. And the reason that it's time compressed is normally you have 90 days to apply for a federal grant. That was compressed to 60 days. So we are working real fast to get this done as quickly as we can. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on either project. Otherwise, it's on the consent agenda and Well, I'm hoping you'll pass them both.
Any questions?
I just want to acknowledge that plan is dense. It is incredible. I just want to acknowledge the hard work that went into that from the team. Sean, Dr. Martin, who am I forgetting? Jeannie. Who else? You.
Yeah, plus Public Works
Sanan,
and
yes.
people in the finance department help out. You'd be surprised. We get help all over the place.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's really,
Thank
there's
you.
a lot there. It's meaty. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
We will, thank you very much. We will proceed then to appointments to boards and commissions. We've got quite a bit of business here. First of all, you received even though we met the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, we need to officially appoint these 8 young people to that commission. And just so you know, you got the details of the selection committee. No, I didn't get to just pick my favorites. It was a group of people. So is there any objection to the members who have been nominated for the Mayor's Youth Advisory Commission?
This is a representation of all the youth in city of Webster and schools that are in the city of Webster.
So everyone is required to live in Webster Groves. Of the 8 students, 6 of them are from Webster Groves High School. 1 is from John Burroughs and 1 is from Coriezu. We did not get any applications from any students at NARICS, even though we had shared that with them. So that is a physical high school that is here that doesn't have representation, but that's about who applied.
Okay.
Second thing, I'm not going to go in order on here. Reappointments to the library board. The following members of the library board are eligible for reappointment and have asked to be reappointed: Janine Harris, Ed Scholl, and Janie Worthington. Anyone object to that? Former library board member?
No objection. They are all worthy members.
All right. Is everyone fine with those?
Mhm.
All right. And I guess maybe I should do this officially. All in favor of these 3, say aye. Any opposed? All right. So they will be reappointed. And then we have the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission has currently has 4 vacancies. 2 members have asked to be reappointed, and we have 2 people who have applied. Tina Bailey, we interviewed quite a while ago and essentially agreed to give her the next open appointment to the Arts Commission. So it seems logical then that we would have that. Jerry Welch has been nominated through the process in which Webster Arts, the nonprofit, has a seat on our Arts Commission as well. Judy Mann and Jan Shapiro have both expired terms, so they've served more than 2. Both have asked to be reappointed. The chair of the commission, Janice Seeley, has asked that Judy Mann be reappointed, in part because of they've had so much new membership over the last few years that's somebody who knows the history. And actually at the meeting this morning, that was pretty clear. So what they've asked, what the chair has asked is that we go ahead and reappoint Judy, appoint Tina Bailey and Jerry Welch, and then let Jan Shapiro serve until a new applicant comes forward. So is that as clear as mud?
And that's from commission, there's members of the commission.
And members of the commission, yeah. So then it would be Jerry Welch, Tina Bailey, and Judy Mann to be appointed to the commission for full terms. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. And then Jan Shapiro would be appointed to continue to serve until a replacement was found. I see anyone opposed to that? I'll just go the short route.
Nope.
All right. Is that as clear as it needs to be for you?
Yes, Mayor.
All right. And then the last is just a notification that John Hickey has resigned from the Sustainability Commission. So we do have an opening there.
Mhm.
If I could just take a quick second to thank John for his service to the community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Katie, do we have many openings right now on the boards and commissions? We have 1 on library, right, from Leanne.
Sorry. I think Crossroads, and there might be 1 more, but
Okay,
there's not too many openings really.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, that brings our work session agenda to an end. I'm going to ask that we take a very short break before we meeting, because I know we have several people have filled out comment cards, so I don't want to keep people waiting too much. And some of you said that you were waiting to see if you wanted to make a comment. The cards are on the table over there. Please turn them in at the end of the dais, and we will come back in how about 3 minutes, folks? All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying as well. We are happy to hear your comments, those of you who are in the room, and I do see we have some people online today. And we will have a few proclamations, but then right after that, we'll have the remarks of community and visitors. If you would like to make a comment, and I see many of you have done this already, please use the cards that are on the table over there, fill them out and leave them at the end of the dais, and that way I can call on you for 3 minutes so that we can keep our agenda going on at least at a relatively timely pace. If you are on Zoom, we are happy to have your comment as well. We'll just ask you to use the raise your hand function at the appropriate time, and then you'll be allowed to talk. You don't come on camera, but we can hear you. All right, can we have the call of the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Arnold,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Councilmember Alexander, Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Here.
Councilmember Hassemeyer,
Here.
Councilmember Waugh,
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Here.
All right, we have a couple of proclamations. The first is for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we know since 2009, when President Obama issued the presidential proclamation for the first Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, we have also been recognizing that. And so we will celebrate the Asian American and Pacific Islanders from all backgrounds who have been inspirational examples of leaders and trailblazers and have a longstanding history of making esteemed, significant culture, economic, and community contributions across the United States and in Missouri and here in Webster Groves. So we do proclaim that. I am going to ask Public Works Director, because it is Local Government Week, not just the Public Works Director. How about all our directors and any other staff members we have here for Local Government Week? You got to come get your picture taken and let me read this proclamation to you. None of them are moving, so I clearly have no authority whatsoever. James, glad you have your suit on.
You're already,
Picture Day / Local Government Week. Yes, you too. Come on. Okay. This one I'm going to read. Whereas local governments in Missouri are at the forefront of making vital decisions that affect the lives of all Missourians within their communities, and whereas local government is the government closest to the citizens and the one with the most direct daily impact upon its residents, and whereas local governments play a vital role in providing essential services and programs, fostering strong communities people are proud to call home, and whereas local governments work to improve the quality of life for their residents and communities. Whereas the City of Webster Groves government exists to provide its residents with essential services and programs to the community, and to provide a positive community impact for the common good, which is essential to our city's identity as a vibrant place to live, work, and play. The City of Webster Groves City Council, the departments supporting the city's government, proudly serve its residents and community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City of Webster Groves hereby proclaims May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as Missouri Local Government Week in the City of Webster Groves. Council, I think maybe you should be in this picture too. And no. Come be in the picture. You're part of local government too. Scott, I don't think you're getting out of this one. Yeah, attorneys are allowed too. He's part of local government. Stand by on. Yeah, we needed that to be the voice club. That's fine. You go down. Oh, yeah. All right, we're going to move on to our remarks of community and visitors, and we are going to start with Mr. Clark Hoteling, who was the first to arrive and turn in his card. Otherwise, I'm not sure of the order. They've just been handed to me. And when you come forward, please do state your name and your address just for our record.
I'm Clark Hoteling. I live at 118 West Cedar Avenue. I'm a 26-year resident of Webster Groves. Avid walker, walk about 8 to 10 miles on Webster streets every day. And I'm chair of the Traffic Advisory Commission. I take road safety very seriously. As a matter of fact, this morning I was almost run over in the middle of a crosswalk by a speeding driver. And I'm just back from 2 weeks in Europe. I traveled in Switzerland, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. And every city from Lucerne to Amsterdam is doing what the South Elm project is all about. They're taking away parking, they're reducing cars, they're reducing traffic, they're making the roadways that connect more accessible for all kinds of motorists. Thank you for beginning to address this here in Webster Groves. When government is complicit in creating a problem, wide streets where people tend to drive really fast, I think courageous ones work to go back and help fix those problems. I applaud your comprehensive plan very much. You guys work very hard on that. And reread pillar number 6, complete streets for all. Your community told you that this was important for the whole community. And what complete streets are, as a reminder, is to make streets and pathways accessible for all users, whether they're pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, public transportation users, and safely for all abilities. So going and making this a sidewalk, to me, is not going against what your community has told you. Enhancing is really important of connecting. Finally, I strongly believe that as these shared pathways are created, and I really like the one reducing the parking on one side, that is the best of both worlds to me. But I like both with the shared path. I really do think you need to look at the codes and the regulations, because putting the burden on residents that live in proximity to a shared pathway is not the right thing to do. It just is not. Those paths and the streets are for everybody. And to put the burden just because it happens to be on the east or the west on those residents, I don't think is a fair thing to do at all. So thank you very much for your time and all your work.
Thank you. Mary Graff? Yes. Wait, I know, I didn't see you wait, I know this Ballard, please come forward.
I'm Becky Ballard. I live at 1119 South Elm. I have a couple comments. This is the first time I heard about the one where they're to eliminate parking. My concern on the west side, my concern about that is, what do emergency vehicles do when you have to pull over and there's no way to pull over? So I think that should be a safety concern for the Plan C, I think. And the other things, I think it's gonna, I just spent a few $1,000s on my yard and hours and hours of manual labor provided by me to turn my front yard into a native garden. I have a big slope, It's all going to have to be graded, and they said put retaining walls. My steps to my mailbox have to be redone because the driveway won't be graded right. So it's going to impact me and disrupt my dream garden and my dream yard and impact bees and butterflies. I'm all for getting kids safely to and from school. I'm all for a sidewalk. I don't believe that the sidewalk on the west side is 6 feet. And kids get to school on that sidewalk. I don't think it has, I know it's not 6 feet, so I don't know that it has to be 6 feet, but I'm all for getting kids to and from school. And what it's going to, how it's going to impact us, getting our groceries to and from our house, getting into and out of our house while they work on it. I don't know how all of that's going to happen. I'm very much opposed to the shared path, but all in favor of getting kids to and from school safely.
Thank you. Would you like to go, or yeah, then you could go next.
My name is Mary Graff. I live at 1123 South Elm. I've been there for 41 years. The first thing I would like to point out is if you drive Elm from the very northern end to Watson, you'll notice sidewalks on the east side all the way until you get to St. George, and then it just stops. Also, looking down Elm, if you'll notice, the east side, the trees are all sheared because of the Amarin lines. The west side, big, beautiful, full, mature trees. They take those out. You can't restore a decades-old tree. You can't do it. So Elm, is the looks of it is going to be decimated. It won't look the same for decades. They're going to remove the trees at the houses that have slopes. We were told they were going to take the slope away and replace it with a concrete retaining wall. So all the green's going away and all the concrete's going up. I personally don't want to be looking at that at my house. This is a lot of money, $3 million for 3/4 of a mile for a path that starts at nothing. There's no bike path at Glendale. There's nothing at Watson. So $3 million for the pathway to nowhere that starts from nowhere and goes to nowhere. And given the past luck with Webster and their projects, are they going to stay on budget, or is it going to end up costing millions more because of all these little extras that have to be done? I don't know. I'm just against it. I think continue the sidewalks across the street. Since they're already in place for most of them, just continue those. Be good stewards of our money. That's it.
Thank you. Eric Bussin?
Hi, I'm Eric Bussin. I live at 11 West Old Watson. It's not directly on Elm. It's on the corner of Old Watson and Elm. First, my biggest comment is the first time I heard about this project was just a few months ago when I found a piece of paper rubber banded to my door announcing a public meeting about a project that had been discussed and decided upon 3 years ago. I'm very distressed by the fact that I did not have an opportunity to have a voice in that. I didn't have any opportunity to say anything about it. No one was told anything about it. No consultation was done. I find that disturbing. On my property, I have a rock wall, stone and mortar, 85 years old, and it is threatened by this project. The engineer said earlier he would restore to a future state my wall. Does that mean a stone and mortar company is going to come to my house and rebuild my wall? I saw the plan for just eliminating parking spots on one side. That looked like a fairly decent plan to me. I drive that road every single day. I don't see a lot of people parking on Elm. I think we could probably work out with one side of parking spaces, and that might be the best solution for all. I'm also concerned about loss of property value. Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I did some research online, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but the way I read it was that if my property value goes down because of this project, the city has to compensate me for that loss. And I'm unsure of whether these funds are in the project plan that you guys have. So I don't know all the things that you guys have talked about in the background. Obviously, I have lots of questions that remain unanswered. And the lady mayor has been kind enough to give me her card, and I may call her or email her for additional answers. But those are things that I thought ought to be said here and for you all to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Warenberg.
I'm Laura Warenberg. I don't live on South Elm, but I am a 52-year resident of Webster Groves. And I can remember when I moved to where I am that you barely had to look to make a left turn onto South Elm. That is no longer the case. It doesn't make any sense to me to reduce traffic lanes on South Elm when traffic backs up during rush hours, morning and evening, and when the high school lets out. I've been unable to find a reason that this work is being proposed on the west side of Elm as opposed to the east side. We already have an existing sidewalk, maybe not wide enough, but at least it's there. And come on, Hickson is on the east side. So to me, it makes sense to continue pavement on the east side for kids who are walking. I know there's been a concern about utility poles, but there's a sidewalk there already. And lastly, this may be a case of closing the barn door after the horses left the barn. Why are we using a design firm based in Kansas City for this work? Who is paying for their travel expenses and for their travel time?
Thank you very much. Tom? Tom, is the case silent or not? Not.
So it's
Nap.
correct.
Darn it.
I'm Tom Knapp. I live at 12 Tulip. So we're right on the corner of Tulip and South Elm. And I wish Mr. Hodling was here because I want to agree with a whole bunch of what he said. My wife and I have walked virtually every mile or biked or jogged of the Great Rivers Greenways. We walk through Webster every day. Today is 125 days in a row of walking. We have also walked in Europe. We've walked in Denmark. We've done 2 Camino de Santiago's in Spain, on and on and on, the Cotswolds Way. So I am all for paths, and I'm all for connectivity, and I'm all for safety of bikers and walkers. Having said all that, I think we're overreaching with this project. We walk down to Steak and Shake. The sidewalks on Watson are 6 foot wide. The sidewalks in front of Annunciation and Hickson are 5 feet and 6 feet wide. Mm-hmm. So this 10-foot wide path is really kind of an orphan trail. It doesn't connect to anything like the other person said. I believe we need a sidewalk. I believe we can make it with a 5-foot sidewalk. I'm not sure if we do that, we really need to give up parking lanes. We talked about traffic on Elm. It's really bad, folks. Mm-hmm. People go very fast. Our officer friends often have their radar set up in those southbound parking lanes. Those will be gone. So, whether there's traffic calming by making those lanes narrower, I'm not too sure about that. So all in all, I really think that as friends and citizens of Webster, I've lived here virtually my entire 72 years. I really think we can find a way to meet the needs of safe passage to the rec center and Hickson without having this 10-foot wide path. I think it can be narrower. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Phelps.
My name is Christy Phelps. I live at 1115 South Elm Avenue, and I'm currently serving on the Webster Groves Planning Commission. I'm not representing them here today, however. I wanted to bring forward a couple of concerns that I have raised and not necessarily heard a reasonable response to. There is a sizable water management issue on the northern end of Elm where the water table is very high. And we have water that when it rains, even not that heavily for days, drains out of our yards over the curb into Elm and then produces an algae grow, which is very slippery. The current plans would indicate that that algae grow is going to move on to the sidewalk that is being proposed. And there is no water management system behind the proposed concrete walls, which are then going to have high hydrostatic pressure and are really just going to end up pushed out and falling over. So I would like to see an approach made to kind of manage that and also manage the liability of having a slippery algae grow on that surface. There's also a number of driveways which were mentioned that are being made steeper by this project. These driveways are currently grandfathered in at a very steep slope because they were built before our ordinances required a 15% slope. That slope is going to get worse. I would like to see the city make an effort to stay in compliance with their own zoning ordinances and maintain those, either maintain the current slopes or make them better, which I know that's hard to say. There's also a very high concrete wall going in on some of our properties. In my property in particular, I believe that wall is reaching close to a 2-foot or more height. A retaining wall of that height requires a handrail typically to be put at the top of it for safety code purposes. So if we're reaching a 30 inches, I believe is about the number. Are we reaching that anywhere? Is that a concern? We've made a drop off that, now we're on my property and I would then become liable if somebody were to hurt themselves by sitting on, playing on, walking on the top of that wall. I am also a proponent of this idea of losing our parking lanes. A lot of us on that side of Elm actually have sizable driveway parking available to us. They're either long, full lot depth driveways or wider lot driveways that you could park probably 2 to 3 cars in. So I did really like that idea about maybe losing our parking lane and putting the walkway in that area. So that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Laura Schultz.
Hi, I'm Laura Schultz. I'm at 1519 Gardenia. You've heard me talk before, so I'm not going to belabor everything that I've said. I don't want to dwell too much on the past, but process matters. The timeline of this, it started 3 years ago, and the first time it occurred to you to reach out to the residents and hold an open house was in March, a week before the meeting. That's the first time it was announced. Now everybody gets 3 minutes to talk, and that's about it. The lack of planning and process by the city is not our emergency. Just because you have deadlines coming up in January, this needs to be done right. And the deadlines aren't a reason not to do it right. And I hope Scott or whoever stays in the position of city manager seriously takes the process concerns of the residents seriously and actually makes the changes that need to be happened to engage residents earlier. These conversations could have started 3 years ago, not a month or 2 ago. I want to go back to something Sanan said, that this project is necessary. Everybody agrees that, for the most part, something is necessary down Elm. 10-foot wide project is not necessary. I brought a demonstrative, so I don't even know that my tape measure here will go as wide as it needs to go. Visualize 10 feet. That is 10 feet. That is way wider than anything in Webster, okay? And that is, I don't even think Great Rivers Greenway is necessarily that wide. And I've said this before in my emails, but if you keep this project as planned and have 10-foot wide path plus an 8-foot wide parking lane, that means somebody coming out, it doesn't go to 18 feet. Somebody trying to drive out and make a left on Elm, out of the west side of Elm, has to have their car farther back than this on Elm and try to see the traffic and any pedestrians and cyclists that are on that path and get out without trying to get an accident on Elm. I've made that point in my email, and I'm making it again. This project in its current scope will not work. And I understand that there's a grant, and I understand the 10-foot wide path is tied to that grant. Is there not any other source of funding that would fund a 6-foot wide sidewalk? I still don't have answers to what alternatives were considered, what are the exact costs of those alternatives. And if we have to walk away from grant money because it's the right thing to do, then it's the right thing to do. There are a lot of wrong things about this project, largely caused by the 10-foot wide path. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the cards I have. If there's anyone online who would like to make a public comment right now, would you please use the raise your hand function? All right, it looks like we do not have any hand raised. Is there anyone on council or any of Mayor, City Manager who has new business?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I just want to acknowledge some golf cart parking at the Benny. I saw that reel earlier this week or last week, and I'm thrilled about that because when you're going to the pool and you think you found a spot, but then you get punked because there's a golf cart and taking up a full spot. This is the little things, right? So yay for that. And also, this is the month of May, which is a migratory month for all of our feathered friends. And I love that Webster is always like bedazzled at night, and it's very charming, but I just am requesting that my friends and neighbors lower their lights for this month of May, and I'll make the same announcement in October for that time of migration. Thank you.
I do just want to note, there will be no decision tonight, and we probably won't have any further discussion this evening on the Elm shared use. You all are welcome to stay with our meeting, but no one will be offended if you've decided that the rest of your night might be spent somewhere else.
The stage.
I know, really, you should stay for the budget. Actually, our staff members who are doing the budget presentations might be offended, but you can watch them on the recording. All right. We will then we'll move to unfinished business. Councilmember Mitchell, in your debut of this, could you call for the third and final reading of bill number 9303? Please take your conversations outside. We still do have business to do.
Yes, Mayor, I would like to call for the third and final reading of Bill 9303 and call for its subsequent adoption.
Second.
Bill 9303, third and final reading, authorizing the city manager to extend and execute tolling agreements and granting further authority.
Is there any discussion? All right, we'll have the vote, please.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander, Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassemeyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Waugh,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell.
Yes.
Mayor Arnold.
Yes. I have read the PowerPoint and budget presentation, but I can't remember who's going first. All right, may we have our Director of Planning? It's the consensus that, John, it is you.
You could just, there's only 3 slides. Good evening, Mayor Arnold, City Council members. My budget presentation is short and sweet. It's very similar to last year's budget. This year is about 1.1 million. Last year is 1 million, so it's only $100,000 more than it was last year.
Some of the highlights of it are we more than doubled the grass money for grass mowing, and these are on private lots. This isn't the stuff that the parks folks do. We have 55 cuts roughly for $250 each for a total of $13,750. Like I said, more than double what we had last year because we kind of anticipate needing that much more. Something new is tree removal, again, on private property and abatement. $6,000 for 2 trees. I know trees are expensive to take down, so I hope that would at least cover 2 trees. And also a site cleanup, $10,200 for an estimated 6 yards is in the budget as well. And also maybe a possible budget amendment for the scanning project that we've scanning and shredding project, excuse me, for the 20 some odd years of documents we have in our filing cabinets and in the attic upstairs. That's an awful wide range up there. I know 50,000 to 245. I think it's going to be somewhere maybe in the middle-ish, something like that. It's a really tough project to nail down as far as getting estimates for it, but I'm working on that this week.
I will we can go back, but the first 3 on that item suggests one of the things that we've talked about as one of the focuses for our comprehensive plan, and that is how do we deal with especially absentee landlords who are letting things get. So I appreciate the fact that it seems that you all are upping the enforcement, which then brings some revenue.
Yes, and it will theoretically we'll get paid for, well, more than theoretically, we'll get reimbursed for those on taxes and such. So
this is the right time to ask that question, but when we were looking at site cleanup, $10,200 and those, are those primarily, can you say, are those primarily rentals or are those primarily?
they could be anything. I mean, we don't have anything specifically identified for that yet. In other words, we're not thinking, well, maybe these 2 or 3 yards over here need to be done. That's just in the budget in case we would need it. I don't know that there's necessarily anything that we've identified for those yet.
But we don't know, when we look at these yards, we don't know who they belong to, because I know we have to send citations. I know we have to send something to be able to indicate to us.
Yeah, it has to go through its due process. I'm sorry if I cut you off. I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
It would have to go through the due process, being, they would be notified of it. And if they don't do anything about it, then they may land in court. And if that doesn't work, then we'll send somebody out to clean it up. So it would take a little while before it got to that point. Hopefully it wouldn't.
Thank
you. And of course, kind of a central theme in the budget is making sure we consider the strategic plan and of course the Webster Groves Comprehensive Plan that was approved just last September. That's pretty much it. Very similar to last year's budget, really.
So are there questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Emily.
Do you, I don't think this is a gotcha. Do you have what you need in the department to, fill the plate? Do you have open spots right now? Do you have?
We have one at the moment. We have an offer possibly going out to somebody next couple of days for the code enforcement position. I've thought about the question, that very question quite a bit lately. And Deputy City Manager Bookless has had my position in other cities, so he's been very helpful in what we're doing. But the best way I can describe it is we're kind of bringing the whole thing down to the studs. I mean, as far as how we operate, we're going to reconsider make it more efficient as we bring projects into the department, either having more complete applications initially instead of having something come in and it sits for 2 weeks and then they're missing something, so they get this and it just turns into a mess. And we're also trying to make improvements to the online applications with changes to Magnet as well. So with all that, we're trying to improve the very first part of the process, and we'll see how that affects the later parts.
we really don't know what that's going to do. I mean, we can't change everything all at once. So we want to look at the first part of it, see if that helps a little bit. And then when it gets down to the inspections and plan review, there may be some backlog there, but we'll deal with that as we get towards that. Having said that, to answer your question, people say, well, do you need anybody else? Yeah, one more person really wouldn't hurt. Maybe kind of a hybrid position between, I know it's not in the budget.
But you were asked the question.
But I was asked.
You need to be honest with us. Yeah.
That's fair. Maybe somebody with like a hybrid plan reviewer, housing inspector type of person so if the plan review is a little heavy, we can do that. And when inspections get to be a little bit more backed up, we can have someone go out and do that. Something like that would be nice, but we're working with this first part of the process first to see if we can make that a little bit better, because it is a heavy lift. I mean, the department's been through quite a bit. I wasn't even here for that part. It's been through a lot, so it needs to be taken down to its core and kind of redone, so to speak.
If I can follow up on that, we had an outside consultant whose name I've forgotten. Shockey Consulting.
Shockey, yeah.
Thank you for that, Deputy City Manager Douglas, who, council didn't hear directly from Shockey, but we heard from predecessor to Mr. Bookless about kind of this plan that was in place. Obviously, you weren't here at the time and you have your own perspective on these things. I'm curious if you know about this plan. Is there anything that you can implement from it, or do you still need some time to figure that out? What does it look like going forward?
We might be able to glean a little bit from it here and there, but generally speaking, between David and I and of course the building commissioner and everybody else in the department, we're going to find a way to figure it out to make it better. So maybe a long way of saying that I don't know if there's much in there that we can use, but it might be able to glean something from it.
Okay.
So I understand that you're going to improve the front end of it, so the application process is better. Is technology involved with that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Technology is maybe online applications, or that's going to involve working with Magnet a little bit, and we're limited in exactly what we can do with Magnet. It's an aging program, but I think we can do some things with Magnet. But yeah, we can help things at first, and hopefully with the idea being that it's going to help downstream a little bit more, but but we could experience hopefully not too many, some backlogs with plan review and housing inspections.
Okay.
Hopefully the front end part will help enough to get us through that if we need to.
Well, you answered my question and comment. How old is this technology?
How old's Magnet?
2018.
Yeah, old enough. And for 8 years is a fairly long time with that sort of technology.
Yeah. So is that any better technology out there now?
Oh, sure there is. Yeah.
Okay.
Costs a fair amount, but yeah. Oh, yeah. They're actually improving with each passing year. There's, oh man, you can MyGov, OpenGov. I mean, anything GovGov. I mean, there's tons of programs out there, and they seem to get a little bit better with each passing year as far as what they can actually do. But they don't give them away.
Do we know what kind of dollar amount we're talking about?
Oh, it varies. It could be $100,000, could be $60,000. It just varies. It depends on what the city looks for and wants out of a new permitting software, really. And there, like I said, it runs the gamut, really.
It also depend on what other departments are touching it and using it. Magnet, if working correctly, interfaces with finance, with public works, with parks. All of our work order management is in there. It's not the greatest of all programs. We're the only local city using it. So we have started looking at other softwares. There is a lot of interactivity there because we need to find something that will interface with our finance softwares and all that other stuff. So that's something that we'll be looking at. We're not ready to pull the trigger on anything yet, but If you ask for a budget number, I would say plus 50,000, somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 100,000 to buy the software and get it implemented for year one. And then, it might come down in the, I don't know, 25 to $50,000 range.
It depends
per
on what
year
modules you look for.
thereafter.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Scott. But yeah, we had MyGov at University City, and you had certain modules that you could turn on and off. Site plan review was one of them, which that really wasn't. I mean, we already had something there that did that, so we turned that module off. But then finance had certain modules, public works, parks had some for fleet management, and so on and so forth. It is a total government program, but this depends on what you want out of it.
Will it improve efficiency?
More than likely. It should, yeah. I mean, that's the whole goal, is to improve efficiency and to have people be able to do more online, I think, is something that that David and I have talked a lot about, is getting things more online and then getting the residents and the developers to do more online as well.
Do we know how much Magnet it is annually?
How much Magnet is?
It's okay if we don't.
I can find that.
I was just going to add,
Doesn't have to.
the key is, and John was talking about this, you have to get the process working first, because whatever software you use, it's built upon your process. So we need to get the process functioning correctly, so that because regardless, you could have the best software program in the world, but if the applications that are coming in are still incomplete, you're going to run into the same problems you always had. So you need to fix the underlying problem before you think about whether or not a software solution is your next step.
Okay.
Just like personnel.
Good. Thank you.
So it seems the process piece is critical, foundational.
Yeah. I mean, the foundation is not working properly, then the rest of it's not going to work either.
Yeah. And then potentially this FTE, plan reviewers / inspections, and potentially down the line, some software switch that works and interfaces well with all the other departments, but specifically to help planning, because in our retreat, we underscored how important the comp plan is to the future for our city, and understanding, speaking of foundation, that plan department must be near excellent. And I appreciate the work that you all have been putting into addressing that issue. And so I just want to underscore my support for what is necessary to make that a reality.
Other questions, comments? I do want to go back to comp plan for a minute. We had all worked very hard on that and are looking forward to it. And again, referencing our retreat, that became the number one priority, is making sure we really begin to act on that.
Sure.
Obviously, the contract has gone out and our consultant is beginning to work.
On the zoning ordinance revision, correct?
Excuse me?
On the zoning ordinance revision?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big chunk of it.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, getting the comprehensive plan, kind of kickstarting that again, now that we have a planner in place, Evan Winkler, who's doing a great job.
Oh, good.
Everybody down there is doing a great job. Evan's been a real great find. But yes, working with Zoneco, and a lot of the comprehensive plan involves them doing their thing. So as they start doing that, and we're going to get them going probably in the next couple of weeks, they're going to do their audit of our zoning ordinance, and that'll take a couple of months. And so we really don't need to do much with them while they're doing that. And then we're going to get these other items out of the way. In the meantime, work on our efficiencies, get the planning, the shredding and scanning project maybe figured out before then. So it should all start lining up midsummer.
Okay. I think it would be helpful to us, and please, council, chime in, is if we can, hearing you talk about that, and I'm sorry, could you repeat the name of our new planner?
Evan Winkler.
Yeah, Evan, and we've got I think right now I'm having a hard time figuring out how all these pieces go together. So it might be worth spending a little bit of work session time for you to talk with us about what that looks like. I know I've heard some concerns about, are we really incorporating all the different, are we doing the sustainability plan as part, is the public art plan part of that? And
They all are.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it might just be helpful for us to get a kind of better overview. Because the other thing that came up is that there were a couple of things that we wanted to work on and not wait for the end of the comp plan as well. And how do those fit into this? So if you can, you and David probably can figure out a good way for us to get a better understanding of the process. Because frankly, then we won't bug you as much about it, I think,
Okay,
if
wait.
we know what is happening.
Okay. Well, you're not bugging me in the first place.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, as soon as we'll get.
Changed as well,
Yeah.
we did this, eliminated that.
Yeah, we'll find a way to kind of bring it all together here in a couple of months, as soon as we get Zonco on their way and maybe get something back from them, or a little bit before then, maybe we'll be able to kind of find a way to have it all make a little bit better sense and bring it
Yeah,
back
and
up.
if you, I mean, it sounds to me like in your mind, you understand what the map looks like going forward. If there's a way for you to translate that for us, not right here, right now, because I think that's asking a lot, that would just be really helpful.
Sure, be happy to.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you very much.
To answer the question, Magnet is $30,000 a year right now.
So good, thank you.
So the 25 that you're quoting would be on top of the third, or
No, I think you could look up to maybe 100,000 for a new software first year with implementation, and then it would drop back to that 25 to 50,000 annual cost.
no cost would be about
year.
the same, but we would have a bump for implementation.
You're going to have a bump
Yeah.
first year for sure.
Staff time for uptake and
Yeah, there's gonna be
Always a learning curve, yes, for sure.
it's definitely an investment in
Yeah.
lots of ways. Okay.
That's why we haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. I don't think anybody's in love with Magnet that's here, but we got to find the right thing so we're not in 4 more years going back and going, well, I wish we wouldn't have bought XYZ. So,
right.
And you're saying that was initially put in 2018?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We're on to Public Works, I believe. MVP for the evening. I think you're shooting for it.
Budget consists of 19 and a half full-time equivalent positions. 13 of these positions are in the street division. Garage includes 2. This is fleet maintenance for most of the city's fleet. What we don't cover is some of our fire department apparatus that is maintained at some of their facilities, including the city of Kirkwood. Administration 4.5. Administration keeps us our plans in progress, responses to our residents, issues our permits, makes sure all that happens. There were 2-year duration via Prop W fund project positions within the department, 2 concrete laborers. Hiring efforts were not successful for those, and those are not anymore included on in our budget. One of the sufficiency related questions about street division employee number at 13 is a healthy number if we can have those positions filled. So one of the things that we measure our performance by is our snow ice control efforts during the winter time. That is something that we cannot shuffle as much. So we need to really respond. And so those efforts have to be there. We manage 5 areas. And so when we are on 24-hour shifts, there will be at least a 10 strong workforce needed for that and trained. And the remaining 3 employees are useful in dead ends and parking lots, and one on each shift for those as well. And it's always good to have at least one to just in case somebody's not here or they're sick or something. So 13 is a good number. It's just a matter of having them filled consistently, that being having employees, having them train and retaining them so that we don't have to retrain them so much. Fiscal year 2026 summary, it's within budget. We're eliminating some of the underutilized tools. There was a sign library software that we were not utilizing. We were paying for it. We're not going to do that anymore. Fleet Pass is the tool that we now have for tracking of our snow equipment. That is an increase. More work that is in-house for our capacity and capability to meet the needs of our community. We have some adjustments in our budget, such as personnel equipment that would be more for increased number of personnel to retain and equip for our work. Those could be their personal protective equipment, their uniforms and gear that they need, boots and all that type of supply, so that we can be out there providing these services. Traffic control supplies are for us to provide better maintained workforce, work zones and areas for some event traffic control and such. And area maintenance, those are LED lights that are actually coming up to the end of their useful life in some of our business districts. And so those need replacements now. They have been in operation for about 10 years. And even LEDs, after that long time, they need drivers and bulbs to be replaced. Accounting for some items that required additional funding that happened this fiscal year. Thankfully, it was balanced by some other budgetary adjustments, but we need more shop supplies in our fleet. So as we work more, we need those supplies to perform our work. So I believe instead of $6,000 now, we are spending at the level of $9,000 per year in that area. And again, contract area maintenance, contract building maintenance, those are efforts that preserve our infrastructure. These could be parking lots, these could be our building where we are currently, and just taking care of our assets and maintaining it. Department highlights for the budget. We had a street superintendent that retired, a new street superintendent hired, and he's already fulfilled his 6 months here. And that occurred in this term. New team members include the street superintendent, public works supervisor, lead mechanic, and 2 maintenance worker, 2 positions that were filled. Those individuals joined. And they're still with us. We're training them. We hope to be able to retain them and keep them happy, keep them working. Again, going back to the challenges of employee retention, acquiring quality applicants, and really it can take up to about 6 months on the job training for the new hire. So we're really spending half of the year just to train the employees, up to half of a year. And so if we lose them, that means that another that long term, this provided that we can secure good quality candidates right away. Performing increased volume of in-house street work, such as street patching, preparing our streets for street repair and resurfacing applications. We now have 2 public works supervisors on our staff, and these are experienced positions. And we actually use one of the individuals' efforts on the street side of things, and the other one on the facilities and fleet. And so that's a good division of responsibilities between the 2. They get specialized in their areas and provide high levels of service. As you know, we have an aging public infrastructure that is in need of maintenance, repairs, and that has to be our continued and efficient focus. These are our
fiscal year 26 amended budget and fiscal year 27 proposed budget levels. The number that causes the increase on the grant is that's our one of the grant projects, I believe. It could be the South Elm project. Grant funding is reimbursable. Capital improvement projects, there's an increased level, which we enjoy. We appreciate being able to deliver those projects. That goes back to also our staff's capability to be able to do that. We currently have the capacity and capability, hope to train those individuals further, and so we can deliver efficiently on those projects and within their timelines. Training for improved skills. This is a focus of our new street superintendent. There are a lot of programs available, such as the local technical assistance program in our state, American Public Works Association sources and other resources, and we're utilizing them to the extent that is economical, efficient for our work group. And training is an ongoing focus and seems to always be needed, not only new employee training, but also refreshers for employees that have been working here for some time. Vehicle and equipment maintenance expenses will be increased. They are increasing, but these help with not having to replace these pieces of equipment on a quick turnaround. So we make better use of our assets, such as used to be that we would every 10 years replace some of our large trucks, and we now can actually utilize them up to about 13 years or so, and so that defers some of those large expenses for us. But we get to then spend more on their day-to-day that equipment, like preventive maintenance is big for our fleet maintenance operations, and so that keeps the large expenses at least more distributed over time, and so not like a large load on our budget.
Question, so that gap, 3-year gap, I guess, from 10 to 13, you're anticipating they will need some maintenance. What is is the gap for more maintenance, or is the gap is to replace the equipment? I mean, would it be easier, not cheaper really, to replace the equipment?
So there's a sweet spot probably. If we wait too long, we won't get also good value out of the equipment that we would either be trading in or auctioning off. And so we still need to do that at that optimal level. But certainly the utilization has not been that high. And so in 13 years, the miles that the equipment gets is almost the same as the 10 years. And so it's still the equipment is still it's feasible to utilize further. So those expenses are not the maintenance expenses are not that great on those.
Okay, thank you.
And we're also, like you discussed with our planning and development director, we're also on the lookout for better and more efficient systems to reduce expenses and increase the longevity of our systems and equipment and assets. Oh, this is our capital improvement projects for the new year. Edgar Road Mill and Overlay. I can stop here if you have any questions from the operating side, and this is more the capital side.
Thank you for pausing. I just want to kind of ask you, do you feel you have what's necessary support-wise to, attract new employees? And it sounds great that it seems like the investment in your current staff, you're hopeful that will keep folks around for a while, retain them for a little bit. Is there anything that you feel like, if you could make a wish and ask for, is there something that you would like to see us support?
Our levels our numbers are pretty sufficient. as long as we can fill them, council member. And so this is a pain across the board. And so we were just talking to another city's officials today, and they're just talking about the same thing. And so it's just a generational thing, I think. Individuals, successful students graduating their schools from that, they don't choose our industry as much. We need to do more as a whole industry to attract people toward our work and services. But what helps is if we have that action here in terms of we have a good group, we are equipped well, we have a reasonable infrastructure to maintain, keep at a good level of repair. That excites people and that brings on more people. People want to come here, work here, but they may have other attractive options too. So evaluating all that together is a market condition in a way. But in terms of what you approve for us, what our city manager supports us with, our all other departments and our colleagues, we're pretty well taken care of.
Thank you, and thanks for that. Just that broadening of the scope of it's not just like it's the whole package of equipment and assets and culture and whatnot.
Correct.
So thanks, Sana.
Sure. Edgar Road Mill and Overlay Project is a finish the job type of effort. As you know, we serviced this road last year up to Glendale Avenue. And so East Glendale Avenue intersection, we need to take it up from there and finish the job. Current fiscal year project continues, and it's an area in front of our Edgar Road Elementary School providing access. And it's an important thoroughfare, and it's about $200,000 in cost to mill and overlay this street.
And Sanan, will the Sharrows be repainted on
Will
the
be
streets?
repainted, yes.
Will
And
be
that's still in
maintained.
the process for the other section that was also milled and overlay.
So we started a project and we only was able to do half of it. Now we need another 200,000 to do the other half. I guess any reason why we didn't ask for the additional 200,000?
That was planned at the time, and there's only so much work you can do in any one given summer. So this is just a continuation of that. I mean, Edgar Road's a pretty doggone long road, so to do all that in one swatch would have been a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Street resurfacing and repairs, $400,000 are allocated for north central area. We have 6 areas north. So there are northwest, northeast, central has 2 sections, and then we have southwest and southeast. Every 6 years, we are in one of these areas and doing maintenance. Maintenance include asphalt mill and overlay, concrete pavement repairs, microsurfacing, crack filling, local repairs, any of these where they are necessary in those areas. Northeast, north central area is this year's fiscal year 27's location. That's about the pretzel streets, I think we call them. Those are the right north of Lockwood and up to about Newport, that area. And so I have a good map. I should have included it, but I'll share the information as we progress further into that area. Each area is about the same size, and I haven't had the chance to yet look at the street network quantities in these areas. So they should be really equivalent so that each year we have the same focus on each of these areas. But this is more like a tradition that how this was done, starting with the chip seal efforts in the past that you all will remember. And so we're continuing that on with this, but using different methods and all the tools in the toolbox for it.
Do we check with the, I'll just say MSD before we do this work?
We
Make
do.
sure they are not going to come behind you and dig up the street.
But yeah, that's an important part of our verification process for projects. Make sure that any scheduled utility work or known utility issues to us are addressed before we complete these resurfacing projects.
Thank you.
And sorry, one more. How do we alert the folks who live on those streets that this is happening?
We share information with the residents 2 weeks in advance of the work, and that this is coming. And then right before the work begins, a few days before, the no parking signs go up, and then the residents get to be aware of that. Now having Jordan with us, we're actually reaching out more and using all different tools in the social media and all that to be able to communicate even more with our residents.
Great, thank you. Nice work, Jordan.
Next project is what we just discussed, $3 million total project, federal grant of $2 million. So $570,000 request is because we allocated $430,000 of funding already to this project, and that was all on the city. That was for the design. And so that is the difference. That brings us up to $1 million of our share. So we're just asking for the remaining dollar amount for the project. Sidewalk improvements, it's a project that has also received a grant. This is between Hickson Middle School and Webster Groves High School. Sidewalk improvements are included in this project. And so sidewalk improvements, the scope for this project is bring the sidewalk network in this area. It's an existing sidewalk network, but bring that sidewalk network into ADA compliance. And the route is indicated on the map. There is a possibility that this route can actually be connected across I-44 on the Selma Avenue overpass. However, that overpass needs to be brought to ADA compliance first for that to happen. If not, and that's a DOT job, MoDOT job, and so we're in contact with them about that. But we also have an alternate route. If that doesn't happen, this is the route that takes us around using the Edgar Road roadway crossing to gets us across I-44.
When we were speaking earlier and we were talking about the ADA compliance that requires the sidewalks to now be 6 feet. My first question is, if we're going in and we are improving an area where sidewalks currently exist, are we required then to like replace that with 6 feet? Or if something already exists, we are improving it based upon its original size? That was the first, and then two, if we're going in and, because did that ADA say that where we put in new sidewalks, we have to meet that as of 1990, but if we're going in and we are improving existing sidewalks.
Now, it also requires that because we are investing a considerable amount of capital money into this project. And it's a federal grant project. And so now we have to bring it to existing infrastructure to ADA compliance.
So do we have to tear out so if we have, because we have many streets and neighborhoods where we've got partial streets, partial sidewalks, so you get a block and half of it has sidewalks and the rest of the remaining block doesn't. Does that mean if we're going in there to extend those sidewalks, we have to tear out everything, so all of it's ADA compliant?
So they don't require for us to fill the gaps, but whatever exists, we need to bring it to ADA compliance as for slopes, widths, and running slopes and cross slopes and all that, and then provide the ramps at the corners for wheelchair users to get up and down the pavement in that area.
Okay, and I get the slopes and the grants, but if we're filling in gaps.
No, it's just what you touch. So in your instance, if you've got 3 blocks and we're only doing 1 block,
right,
you'd have to make that 1 block EDA compliant. You don't have to expand the scope to 3 total blocks.
Okay.
It's just whatever you touch, you have to bring up to current standards.
Okay. So the good news is we can go in and fill stuff. Bad news is that we got a sidewalk that's 3 feet here and the rest of it's 6.
I mean-
Sidewalk in my street.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it would all get brought
I
up
mean,
in
that's fine.
compliance,
It is
but
what it is.
there's
It's
only,
better than having to tear out
yeah,
what's
you have to
there.
take bites at it.
Right.
And one more thing on the ADA sidewalks, if there are a myriad number of permutations of any given sidewalk for ADA, you can have them narrower, but when you have them narrower, you have to design additional spaces so that if one person's coming this way and another person's coming this way, every so many feet, you'd have to have a wider width so that people could pass each other and then get back on the narrower path. There are ways to do things like that. It's not the ideal path. It's not the preferred method. The preferred method is just a wide enough path that people can pass at any given time without having to stop and wait on the next passing zone.
I have a question about this. Okay, so this project is very awesome. I'm really excited about this. And I have a couple of concerns. I take the Selma Ped Bridge over 44.
Hate that.
Yeah, I know. It's and then the Edgar Road is over 44. And I know that we're on a schedule with MoDOT to consider to consider the Ped Bridge and keeping it. And then we definitely need to address Edgar Road. So what is that timeline? First question.
The design funding for this project is in this current federal fiscal year. So we have to submit a approved engineering services contract to MoDOT by August of this year for them to get us into the design obligation in this federal fiscal year. Federal fiscal year end is September 30th, so need to beat that timeline.
Okay. Are we considering designing or including that pedestrian bridge as the number one priority, or is the Edgar Road option the number one priority?
Edgar Road option is our number one priority. Unfortunately, because MoDOT is committing to bridge replacements along I-44, but those they don't know for sure if they're going to do pedestrian bridge improvements. And that's a later 2029 or 2030 project for them. So if they did that, we would be building this at the same time as them, but they are not telling us yet, yes, we're committed to Selma crossing at I-44.
Okay. Okay, so by September, we'll have something turned into MoDOT. Is there any, and I don't know, like as far as process goes, this seems to be something that we need to highlight. Outreach to the folks who, the students, the families whose kids go to the schools, those who live on this pathway. What kind of engagement have we begun to imagine for that?
We'd best start early. And so right now, we don't even have an engineering services contract. We don't have necessarily a concept or anything like that. But once something like that is developed by our engineer that we will end up hiring right about that August, September timeframe, then we can have that outreach once we have something on hand, probably toward the end of the calendar year this year to have that discussion.
Okay. All right, great. That's helpful. Thank you, Sinan. And I'm voting for the Ped Bridge, so I'll reach out.
Just so you know.
Reach out to the people at MoDOT, the fine people at MoDOT to say, keep that bridge. Okay, thank you.
But I also appreciate that we're controlling what we can control.
Yes.
So I definitely agree that bridge needs some help, but it's out of our control. So I'm glad that we have an alternative that we have some control over. Much needed.
Big Bend Boulevard improvements is there are two aspects to this project. The city has committed funding for the county. This is the Crossroads Business District zone of Big Bend Boulevard. $390,000 is the city's participation for the federal grant that the county has secured for this project. So that's to pay for our share. And $300,000 is the estimated cost of the pedestrian scale lighting. There's going to be about 12 of those lights as designed on both sides of the street in a staggered fashion on this section. Starts at Elm Avenue and goes up to about Gore Avenue on the west. Other investments, bridge sealants are needed for preserving our bridge decks in good shape. These are on the Newport and Murdoch Railroad crossings and North Rock Hill Bridge. Traffic signal as-built investment is for us to have record information for our traffic signals. We don't have as many of them, so we have a $15,000 expenditure for that. But this type of information is good to have at hand when we need to utilize it for different excavation and other project purposes. City Hall flat roofs are the roofs that are right outside of here, and on the other side, the southwest and southeast corners of the City Hall. The roofs have some issues, seepage issues, and it's a good time for them to be replaced. We can always do a repair and wait, but this probably preserves our facility the best way to make sure any water intrusion doesn't occur and any issues with our working spaces, that there are working spaces under each of these areas in the City Hall.
So the roof will be repaired, not replaced?
Replaced with a membrane roof at these two locations.
Okay, thank you.
And that's okay to do this outside of the scope of we're reassessing the building and the.
We'll certainly coordinate with that effort, but because we're not necessarily making a change to the space utilization or anything like that, and this is not a utilized space itself, it's just a roof of that space. We were thinking that we would be able to pull this off as quickly as possible so that we can secure the weather tightness of those areas.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
We're just.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the weather tightness.
Yes, we're working on it right now. We need to find a solution for sure.
Just know that it's been going on for a decade at least, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Vehicle upgrades, street division admin vehicle, scheduled to be a hybrid vehicle. Fleet passenger vehicle replacement in rotation. Those are also scheduled to be hybrid vehicles. This year, I believe there's a inspector vehicle that needs replacement. Building maintenance technician's vehicle is a utility vehicle. We're also envisioning a hybrid vehicle with the bells and whistles that we're showing there. That's to replace the van that is downstairs that is parked next to the electric vehicle parking spaces. It's a 2015 vehicle, pretty old now, and it would be a good upgrade for our building maintenance technician to have all his tools in the vehicle and secure so that he can service our 3 different locations that he's responsible to serve.
Do you find hybrid vehicles available in the city? You have to go out of Webster Groves to get them. Well, not in Webster Groves, but I think I saw one in Kansas City. We had to go with purchasing.
We do the purchasing pool, don't we?
Yeah, we buy off state contracts. So depending on where they're at, we often go to Columbia or Jeff City or somewhere else to get vehicles, particularly depending on what manufacturer it is. A lot of the Fords we get locally, but some of the other GMCs and stuff, sometimes, somewhere in Columbia might have a better price for us.
Okay, yeah, I read it somewhere in the paper. So, but getting hybrid vehicles is going to be that tough.
We'll try. We will certainly, we so far got prices, and so no commitments. And so we need to make sure to go back and check and make sure that the supply is there, that we can utilize. But yes, we reached out as far as Columbia, Missouri.
Okay.
And this is the end of my presentation. Ready for any questions?
So soon?
Sorry about that.
I am going to ask one more thing before we let you go. And so we're North Central now, and maybe I just have this obsession with the Murdoch cut off concrete streets, which still seem to me to be in pretty bad shape. And maybe it's just that we haven't gotten repairs done since the winter. And I know it's hugely utilized because that's how you get onto 44. So do we go to northeast next, or do we go to?
North Central, we go to South Central from there.
Okay.
But Murdoch Avenue, Mayor Arnold, is actually on the program now. And so because that street was in that shape, we went through our procurement company that helped us. And so we actually have secured a contract for that road to replace those concrete roadway slabs. And so that's coming up. It's approved. So it's coming up for work, as well as there's some roadway slabs outside of our Hickson Middle School on South Elm Avenue. But selected
The other place that I was going to talk about. You knew exactly what I was. Thank you.
Selected locations, though.
Yeah.
It's not the entire street, unfortunately, but it will improve the conditions, especially those joints that get like displaced like as they are. And so
Thank you for being so on top of that.
Yes.
I want to look back around to the ADA question. So where you were talking about different areas where you are doing improvements to come into compliance with ADA, to identify those places where that's necessary, are you relying on the work that was done with the Safe Streets project, or have there been other ways that you've kind of taken an inventory of where things need to be updated, like curbs need or sidewalks that just kind of end nowhere and you just drop right to the street? I mean, how are you identifying where that needs to be?
So two things that happen in that area, and I know there's a current effort to renew one of those. That is a pedestrian and bicycle master plan. Our community had one, but it's a little old now. And so I believe we followed that for some time and implemented those improvements at those locations that the master plan called for at the time. The other thing was our pavement maintenance efforts. For us to resurface pavements, we were also required to bring those areas, especially those ramps, like Mr. Davis touched on. Whatever we touch, we need to bring to ADA compliance. So when we're doing pavement work, because we touch those corners, we need to bring also those to ADA compliance. And those were the two reasons why we did that work in the past. So the master plan is in progress to get redone. And so whatever that master plan says to the future, we can follow that in terms of those improvements, where those improvements will be budgeted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh, no, we're not going to let him go.
I just wanted to recognize staff. I mean, your staff do a great job. The snow plowing is, of course, what everybody sees, but I know you do a lot more than that. And the new street superintendent, Cottrell.
Yes.
Was on the safety walk that we did around Bacon, and he was so engaged and asked such great questions, and it was just really great to have him there. So I know he's just one of a team, but I just wanted to thank you for the work that you and your staff do.
Thank you for your comments.
Sanan, before you go away, there's just a question about something in the consent agenda. Can I ask now while Sanan is up here?
Of course.
Okay. I am curious about the parking structure in Old Webster. When doing that, I know we are probably years away from considering EV charging at that structure, but is it possible to run conduit while it's, being rebuilt, to save money and effort down the line.
That's a really good foresight. I think we should. I'll talk to the engineer about that and see if there is a possibility for that. Since we are removing those members and the structural members and all that, we can always provide that. Then that would be the best time to do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I do have one comment. I don't know if it was you. Yeah, you did the South, you doing the South Elm.
Yes.
One of our speakers this evening made mention of the emergency vehicles.
Yes.
If we have to move to the right, do we have anywhere to go?
Clear.
And can they get down that street with all of the walking paths and stuff like that? Don't need an answer. I think it was something important to keep.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rules of the road, council member, we need to follow that. But yeah, I mean, we're decreasing the width of the lanes as well as if we drop the parking lane, it will be a narrower street, that's for sure. And all of us have to be more cognizant of that happening and take the necessary action.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna say we gotta let the poor man. Sinan, I think you've used more words in front of us tonight than the sum total of everything else. So thank you for both presentations and your level of detail. And please, as Emily said, pass along our gratefulness to the people working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sinan.
Madam Mayor, before we move on, so just a budget calendar reminder for everybody. So next meeting on May 19th police will be our last department presenter. Also, that would be a great time if there were going to be any amendments from you all or from us to bring forth that evening. If you have them, if you have questions, if you need data, if you need numbers, please let me know in advance so that I can work with the directors to get those numbers to you. And then June 2nd, we'll open up the public hearing for the budget. And then June 16th, we'll close the public hearing and have the vote. So we're getting close. So if there are any amendments, which there probably won't be because it's like probably the best budget you've ever seen, right? I mean, so
You do say so yourself.
I'm sure there will be. And if you can give us a head start on crafting any of that, if you need help with any language or data, please let me know. Thank you.
Can you send us some of those blank
Budget amendment forms. Yeah, and just keep in mind, every budget amendment does need a second. It is much easier for all of us if you do submit it in advance in writing so that everyone can take a look at it before. And as Scott offered to basically do most of the work for us.
Good.
Just kidding. Oh, there we go. There we go.
I was going to ask for that to be reread from the minutes because I didn't think that I offered that.
Scott's face didn't look like he agreed with that.
Yeah, he did. It's okay. He knows I was teasing. He offered to give us assistance, not do it for us. All right. Is there anything anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda?
No removal, just wanted to call out the Elm and Kirkham Culvert project. That's a really great thing. It's I know it's in the consent agenda, but it's a big dollar amount. It's a big project. It's gonna make a big difference. So just want to call that out.
And it's significantly under budget.
Oh.
First one that's come back that way in a while that we bid. So
What a nice surprise.
I mean, I think Sinan should have been up here to take credit for that.
Yeah.
They're talking. So
I'd also like to acknowledge there's just a lot of work being done via the consent agenda, and it is important stuff. And I'm thankful for all of staff for the continuous hard work, and really excited about the bike and ped plan being updated. That is critical. So yeah, and the safety plan, all good stuff. So thank you.
well, don't turn off your microphone because I'm going to ask you, Councilmember Hasselmeyer, to call for the approval of the consent agenda.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Councilmember Alexander?
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Waugh?
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Yes.
Mayor Arnold?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
All right, we have made some appointments to boards and commissions. Janine Harris, Ed Scholl, and Janie Worthington have been reappointed to the library board. Tina Bailey, Jerry Welch, and Judy Mann have been appointed to full terms to the Arts Commission, and Jan Shapiro will continue to serve until we have a new candidate for the Arts Commission. Council Member Alexander, could you call for a closed session under number 4 there?
Yes, I would like to call for a closed session, negotiated contract, Missouri statute 610.021, open paren, 12 end paren.
Second.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassemeyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Waugh,
Yes.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Yeah.
Mayor Arnold,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yeah.
All right, I think we'll stay put.